mentally sorting this pile of cards that Remington played at the tournament and just at least have like a rough idea of what he did. This thing was crazy. This is so up a Travis alley. You're going to love it. I mean, hello and welcome to this week's episode of Two Trolls and a Brew. I am your host, El Samus, joined by my co-host. Are you El, Travis? You would know.
I am wearing a poncho, so we might as well be L's today.
I'm wearing a bathrobe today, so is that close enough to a poncho that it counts, or?
No, it's not. So all right, so funny story actually. I have this poncho because I had a temporary roommate because she had nowhere to live, and like when I was in the apartment by myself, we had 2 extra rooms, and she was in between housing, so I was like, yeah, dude, just crash there, and it's like it's all good. Oh, okay. And then one day we were talking about like she comes out of I get home and she comes out of her room and she has like she has clothes on, but she's also like bundled up in a what are the big poofy blankets called?
Okay, a comforter?
That's the one. I don't use those, so I don't know. So she was just bundled up in that, and I was like, if you had a poncho on, you could still be comfortable, and you would have free movement of your arms and everything. She's like, well, yeah, but what if I wanted to go to sleep? I was like, ponchos double as a small blanket.
That's true.
And so we just started discussing, and she was just like, she shows me a picture on her phone. She's like, do you like this poncho, which is the one that I'm wearing? It's like gray and black. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's pretty cool. She's like, oh, okay, good, because I just bought it for you. I'm like,
nice.
Wait, what? And she's like, yeah, I thought it would be a nice gift. I was like, well, why did you do that? She goes, oh, I felt like it.
Why not? Gift horse in the mouth, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, all right. Thanks. and so now I've just been rocking this poncho ever since because, well, it's
ponchos, baby. Ponchos. Yeah, LJ, who we talked about on the show before, I think. Yeah. He's a big like house poncho friend guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have like 4 of them that he and his wife have around, and he's always like, "You guys want to borrow a house poncho when we're over there? Like, I get you a house poncho, like if you want." It's like, no, we're good. Are you sure? Because we got extra house ponchos. And he's like walking around and like this, basically a camouflage blanket that they just took and cut the right hole in it.
Oh, okay.
And they have like I said, they have a bunch of them, and it's like, no thanks. I'll wear my bathrobe. People think I'm weird when I show up to their house in my bathrobe, but it's that or I have to put pants on.
No, that's not. I don't think you're weird at all because like I used to have a neighbor who was like 4 or 5 houses down, and every now and then he'd call me up. He's like, "Hey, Travis, you want to come drinking at my house? I know you're already drinking, but you want to come over here?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'll be there in a minute." And there were several, like the first time I showed up, I was just wearing a bathrobe and shorts and like a tank top underneath.
Right.
And I just walk over there and I go in his house. He's like, shit, man, you look more relaxed in my house than I do. I was like, yeah, dude, I wasn't about to put on real clothes. And then we made it a weekly thing where I'd go over to his house and we would just chill in bathrobes and drink.
So, I mean, to be fair, like in the history span of time, right? It wasn't that long ago where everyone wore a robe.
Yeah.
It's basically just a longer bathrobe.
Right.
So I feel completely justified. Quick news, breaking news, like actual breaking news at the time of the recording. We have a top 8 cut for our friends. I'm not sure where they're at. I can't see where. It looks like the Super IQ in Kansas City, maybe. StarCityGames.com, Super IQ. Yeah. We have a top 8 cut, and while a Salina player is currently 32nd, which looks like the bottom of the bracket of people who stayed in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jackie looks like 11th place, but we have Sean Zedark, our very own Sean, who has been on the show once or twice before, squeaking in at 8th.
Really?
Squeaking in at 8th, yes, sir.
What's he playing?
I have no idea. Probably Magic.
True. It's a good call.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure what the format is, to be really honest. I thought it was standard, and if it's standard, I think he's playing some sort of Grixis Energy type deck, but I'm not 100% sure. I have not been. His testing has started taking place later than I can get there because I start the stream around 9 or 10. So basically, if I even get to even wave hello to him, it's pretty rare. So yeah, he did get a draft this week though. That was a nice change. But yeah, I haven't got to see him for a while, which is probably why he's doing better. He doesn't listen to me. I'm not there to give him bad advice anymore.
Yeah.
Speaking of, it looks like Nathan's sending me messages. I see that.
Did he just send you a message that Sean's in the top 8?
Yeah.
Ask him what format it is.
All right, Travis wants format. I'm pretty sure it's standard, but I don't know. I'm already tired of modern. I'm so tired of modern. It's not funny. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, House Ponchos, John. I think that's it, right? Let's get into the show. Let's get into troll cards.
Yeah, let's actually talk about the show that we do.
No, it's modern.
Okay,
so Sean's on what? He's been on Tron, like Eldrazi Tron, for a long time now. Yep, there goes the eye roll. See ya. That's been his modern deck for a long time. So troll cards this week. Yesterday we had a standard showdown that Remington and I went to, and it was just a little 8-man one. There was a bunch of PPTQs in the area. Like there was one in McPherson, which is about 25 minutes away. There was one in Topeka, I think. There was one in Kansas City. I think there was another one someplace else kind of nearby. So the turnout was kind of low. We just had a quick 8-man standard showdown, but some people brought the funk, including this relatively new player. He's been playing for about a year. His name is Garth, and Garth is like the yin and the yang of Magic, in my opinion. So at spring, he's like renewed. He gets like a super like all business haircut. He's clean shaven all year or all summer long, all fall long. And he looks like a completely like crisp and clean businessman, right?
Okay.
As soon as the snow falls, all facial hair upkeep, all hair upkeep, everything stops and ceases. And he gets like that big bushy windle beard. And like, he's crazy. But the man is like a master of, I don't want to say the troll, but like, if he was just a little better, I would say that he's got what it takes to be like a troll brewer type person.
Okay.
So he sits down to play against Remington round 1 of the showdown. And they're playing, and then Remington's like, "Hey, Judge," and I look over, and I go, "So, is it called Last Stand or something? Is an enchantment that creature can't attack or block, but they have like 2 mana, tap and sacrifice, gain 2 life?"
Oh, yeah, from Amonkhet?
Yeah, something like that, right?
Compulsory arrest?
Maybe something like that. So Remington goes, "This my creature has this on it, and my opponent just cast Overwhelming Splendor. Overwhelming Splendor is an enchant player. All creatures enchanted player controls lose all abilities, have a base power toughness of 1/1.
Okay.
Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities." Right?
Okay.
So Remington's like, "Can I sacrifice my creature because the enchantment's doing it. I look over, I read it, say, what came first? They're like, this one. I go, no, I lost that ability. That ability is gone. And Remington just So when we get to Remington's deck, we'll see how Remington finally was able to win with his army of 1/1s.
Oh, geez, okay.
But apparently Garth was... There's the wall that when it dies, you get a treasure.
Yep.
I guess he was sacrificing it or killing it in some way. And he had that 3/2 that says when you exert it and it while attacking, you get a 2-mana creature back. So he was using that as a mana acceleration engine.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was killing his wall, getting it back. And because all of Remington's guys were 1/1, it was really difficult to block it.
Yeah.
So he just like powered out all this stuff where he eventually won the first game with I think this was maybe the second game, actually, the second game, because Remington won the first one really quick. Won it by casting Approach of the Second Sun twice. And it was all like, it had that green creature that when it dies, you draw a card.
Okay.
It's
the
2
prowling,
mana. Yeah, again, it was all part of his engine, was to attack with this guy that regrew 2 drops out of your graveyard. Like his whole deck was built around it. It was just, I was just like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't know if he actually won a match. It was so good watching him just like crush people. Like, here's an overwhelming splendor, sir. Like, so yeah, it's pretty funny. So that's my troll card this week. Overwhelming Splendor. Card I've never really seen be used anywhere, but I'm thoroughly impressed. How about you?
Mine is Mastermind's Acquisition.
Yeah!
So I decided to run it as a 4 in my deck, which is basically just a mono black control. And it's basically hand disruption, spot removals, board wipe. But then I had the 4 Mastermind's Acquisition as ways to go get cards out of my sideboard, which it worked out phenomenally because my sideboard was basically a 6-card sideboard and then 9 other things that I could get with Mastermind Acquisition that I could use according to what I needed. And the rest of it was just like, so the 6 cards that I never went and got were 3 Harsh Scrutinies and 3 Duresses. And then there was 9 one-ofs to go get.
So I'm glad that we're going to talk about this. I want to talk about this first, right? This concept, because not only the Wish sideboard part, which I want to hear what you put in there, but also this mono black control list, because after the Winnabox on Thursday, I seriously contemplated switching to just a straight up mono black control list as well. So I'm really actually this hits really close to home because that's what I was thinking about switching to for the standard showdown. So get into this bad mamma jamma.
And like I normally do whenever I do successful with the deck, I just take it apart and try some other things.
As is the way.
Yeah. So I'm going through my binder so I can see exactly what I put in there. I know the sideboard, it was 1 Torment of Hailfire, 1 Dispossess, 1 what's the other one? Not the Dispossess. The other black Lost Legacy?
Lost Legacy, yeah.
Yeah. And then I had another board wipe, the Yahini's Expertise.
Right.
Hour of Glory. And what was that other one?
So I feel like if we get too much more in sync, our periods are going to line up.
Oh, good.
Just so you
Uh,
know. Just so you know.
did you also have that stuff just sitting aside, just like trying to use it somewhere?
So I'm recompiling my board right now, right? But a
Okay.
lot of these things are actually either they were on my list for when I was switching over to mono black,
Uh-huh.
or they're cards that I either figured out how to work into the main, or like Remington and I sat down and decided we didn't have room for. So my sideboard for my
Oh, I
Grixis
actually
list,
found it.
right? So the sideboard for my Grixis list um had less wish targets than you, but I just put stuff in the main that I was going to wish for. Was kind of how I decided to go with it. So basically, the only card that I take it back. There's a couple of cards I didn't wish for, but I ran 4 glint sleeve siphoners and 3 negates, kind of as like probably never going to wish for targets, and then I
Okay.
ran 1 Bontu's Last Reckoning, 1 Sweltering Stuns as my 2 rafts. I also have 2 Golden Demises, which I think I did actually end up wishing for once, because it would wipe their stuff but not mine at that moment because of the crown. And then the last cards in my sideboard were 2 Moments of Cravings and 2 Abrades.
Okay.
But I literally had sleeved, and in the list was the Yahini's Expertise. I decided to go ahead and cut the Lost Legacy. And the what's the artifact one? Starts with a D.
Dispossess.
Dispossess, because I never wanted to go wish for them on the Winnabox. But those are all cards that were in the list. Like every card you named is cards that I had pulled aside to go in there. And Remington and I were actually trying to figure out, should I just main these things? So like,
No.
when I was talking about switching to the mono black list.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because I kind of reached the point where I shifted my strategy on the Masterminds acquisition to just putting interesting one-ofs in my main deck,
Okay.
and going ahead and trying to do more like swap out the one-ofs that I'm never going to use in the matchup in the sideboard.
Okay.
So my thinking was kind of like, like for example, the Scarab God, a single commit to memory, Secrets of the Golden City, a Veraska, the Brass's Bounty. Like I left all those things in the main. All the things that I was kind of thinking that I would wish for outside of the game. And it actually worked out really well in my favor. Because once people figured out that I was on a wish-esque deck, they would have to use their first Lost Legacy to get rid of the wishes.
Yeah.
And then they could go and they could hit the specific targets that were still in the deck afterwards. Right? But since I diversified my threats and left them in the main deck, it was more difficult for them to Lost Legacy me out of control.
Okay.
So like on Thursday, I ended up playing against a guy who was playing like a black-white token shell. And he basically switched his entire when he sideboarded in 4 Lost Legacies, 4 Duress, some number of the ones that say look at your hand and get rid of a non-legendary permanent. Like he just went all in on your hand disruption stuff. So at one point in the game, like I didn't have that many cards left in my library, like ways to win the game.
Right.
And it kind of made me realize that I was going about this wrong by putting extra win conditions in the sideboard when I should just put them in the main. At least that's how I kind of came to on Thursday. And I think that worked out really well for me, instead of having a bunch of one-ofs to go get. That being said, I like the idea of a wish board. Also, for the record, I ended up landing on 3 of the wishes.
Okay.
Instead of 4. I do think 4 is a good idea. But it's really tough unless you have like multiple pulls from tomorrow to justify 4 in the kind of environment that I have here at the arena, where it's like super aggro. I bet you most of the time I brought in all the removal spells.
Yeah, well,
and
see,
took out win conditions.
mine was a like basically an even cross between removal and disruption. Like as far as my own spells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's when I sideboarded, I was just like, okay, well, which one is less effective right now? Or which one would be more effective as more
Right.
from the side? And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the deck. I might just, I don't know. I'm thinking about just tweaking it and keep doing and playing with it, but who knows?
I mean,
Uh,
I think after the Winnabox on Thursday, I kind of personally I kind of got a little I came home unhappy going 1-1 drop, right? So I won round 1, but then I lost round 2 and I was done.
okay.
And I was kind of like I felt like I was getting in situations where I either had to draw a land or I had to draw a creature kill spell. Like it was dependent on the top of my deck. And there wasn't enough just like raw draw power. So that's when I started thinking maybe I should just switch to mono black. So more of my cards do the things that I want. And then it's easy to run like lose 2 life, draw 2 cards, or whatever that the instant speed one is.
Yeah.
It becomes easy to run more stuff like that when you don't also have to fight your mana. So that's kind of where I was at. And I was also like, well, I could also run like 1 or 2 of the colorless named lands that like when you're king of the city, it has pay, I think like 5 and tap it and draw a card.
Yeah.
Like that card suddenly becomes very, very good when you drag the game out for late enough. And you don't have to kill anything because you're like, are you going to play something? No. Sweet. I'll do this. And when they do play, just kill it the next turn.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So my side that the sides that I have Hour of Glory for the any gods or any creature really. It was Hour of Glory, Heaney's Expertise, Lost Legacy, Vona's Hunger, which that's the sack half if you're ascended. Dispossess, Vraska's Contempt, Revel in Riches, and Marionette Master.
Yeah, see, and all of those cards are in my main deck now, except for I took out the Lost Legacy and the Dispossess, and I'm on the fence on how many, if any, Yahini's Expertise I want to play right now. I like it. I think it's really good, but since I don't have the follow-ups that I did in the last version of the deck, it's less good.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I have Marionette Master and Revel, those are like my 2 win conditions in the deck.
Right.
I don't have any other way to win other than those 2.
So the real problem, again, for me, what was starting to happen would be someone would say, okay, well, Mastermind's acquisition, Lost Legacy, those out of the way. And then with that situation, you would just have to basically be like, oh, I guess I'm done with this game of Magic.
No, because I have 1 of each in the main also.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like 1 in the side, 1 in the main. If they already got rid of, 1 in the main, like 1 of each in the main, then I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go to the side right now. But even my creatures, they're like, I have the Dire Fleet. It's a 2/1 when it dies makes a treasure. And why I got excited about the Gleaming Barrier is because I ran 4 in my deck. Because
it seems really good right now. Like it seems way better than it looked.
Yeah, and like it's a wall, and if it dies, guess what? You just ramp me. Thanks, dude.
Right. See, I also really like the one that if you have a desert, you can tap it to do a life, drain a life. Like I like that one too right now. Not everybody does, but I think the 2 walls, like I could almost see building your like an 8 wall. There's a desert from the first Amonkhet block where if you have a desert, it's an 0-4 wall for 2. And if you control a desert, there's one in your graveyard, you can tap it and drain them for a life. I don't think
Yeah,
you get a heal.
okay.
I think you just get a drain. They lose 1 life.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I
But
forgot
yeah,
about that.
that's kind of what I was thinking. And then Yahini's expertise becomes really good then, because
Mm-hmm.
that gives you multiple follow-ups, right? Because if you're wall, treasure map, now all of a sudden, there's 12 cards that you could possibly replay off of Yahini's.
Yeah.
For me, in my current version of the deck, I only have the 4 treasure maps, and then everything else is like removal below 4. So Yahini's doesn't exactly do a lot for me. Like I can't replay a permanent with the free part of Yahini's.
Right.
So I was, but that's kind of what I was thinking. I was also really chasing down like a mono red version of the deck that was kind of very similar in the style of like mono, shocks, magma sprays, lightning strikes, braids, Chandra, Lannery, Dragon, and then like a couple of the Dynavolt towers. Like that was kind of what I was kicking around in my head and just be like blah blah blah. But I felt like I didn't have enough card advantage with just the Chandras I had.
Yeah.
Ergo Remington. Are you
Okay.
ready to get to Remington's list?
I am.
Remington Super Jank. Okay, he has 2 Daring Buccaneers.
Okay.
So this is a pirate list, if you want to call it that. 2 Daring Buccaneers, 2 Carry Zev, Skyship Raider,
Okay.
4 Metallic Mimics,
Mm-hmm.
4 Phantom Swallowers, Phantom Fleets, Captains Swallowers.
Oh, okay.
The 2 drop that if you attack and you have another pirate, you can spend some mana.
Yeah.
1 Time Stream Navigator.
Wait, what one's that?
That's the one that if you've ascended, you can spend 4
take
mana,
another
tap
turn.
it, take another turn.
Okay.
1 Lannery. 2 Stormfleet Sprinters. That's the haste can't be blocked pirate.
Right.
2 Captivating Crew. 2 Hostage Taker.
Okay.
His MVP. 3 Dreamcaller Sirens.
Okay.
2 Admiral Beckett's. 2 Buccaneers Bravados.
Yes.
2 Fatal Push. 4 Bale Flagship. 4. So for those of you who don't know, that's a vehicle that's a 3/3 crew 3 pirates you control get +1/+0.
Oh yeah.
And it will combat damage to a player. That player discards a card.
Oh yeah.
Okay, 3 of those, and then 2 Vance's blasting cannons. What kills me is we have 2 extra Chandras, and he decided no. I would rather play Vance's blasting cannons instead of the 2 Chandras. So, remember how I mentioned that game against Garth at the beginning where Remington got kind of hosed by this overwhelming splendor?
Oh,
Apparently, his awesome pirates were all 4/1s.
Yep.
Sometimes 5/1s to try to win that match. Crazy. So yeah, he ended up going 2-1. His only loss was to me.
Okay.
And I think he ended up taking 3rd. I don't know. This is what he threw together basically not even the night before. Like we got up at 11 and I'm like, because I had talked to him about the red deck and he's like, yeah, that sounds boring. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to draft? Or play? I don't know. And I'm like, well, we just have all these pirates. You should just play pirate stuff. He's like, yeah, but I just draft pirates every week and win. I don't want to play pirates in constructed too. Like that sounds boring. I'm like, well, just build whatever crazy pirate deck you want. So that I get this. And again, if it wasn't for the fact that one, I kind of knew what every card he had in the deck was, I don't think I could have beat him. He had me discarding cards to that bloody pirate ship.
Yep.
At one point, I had wished for the Scarab God. He immediately slaps down the cultivating crew. Like I tap out to wish on 4, go get it. He's like, my turn 4. I'm like, yeah. He's like, captivating crew. I'm like, well, I can't kill it. And I'll play my land. I can't play my Scarab God because he'll just steal it and kill me. So it sat in my hand. I didn't play it until turn like 12 or 13. He just was like, attack you for 4. Attack you. Like, I couldn't do anything. It was insane. I was very impressed with with all the jank that showed up this week. I don't have a list in front of me, but Jackie is playing some sort of like spell recursion star. What's the spell? It costs like 6 mana, blows up a land, and does 13 damage. Star of Extinction?
Yeah.
Apparently recurring that and cloning that to play land destruction in standard.
Oh, I love Jackie sometimes.
That's what won the Winnabox.
Oh.
I was so mad. The Winnabox, like game 1, I kept a pretty good hand against Merfolk, but I needed to draw like a 4th land.
Okay.
And I went like Swamp. They played like a Lord, I killed it. They played another Lord, I killed it. Or maybe, I don't know. They played a bunch of stuff, bunch of 2-drops. I killed them all with Fatal Pushes and cut to ribbons. And then I could never get a 4th land to like start moving ahead. And eventually they were just like, oh, sweet. You can't cast any more of your removals. So I'm like sitting there with like Chandras and Tesserets in my hand and stuff. And he's just like, sweet, kill your things. So then I sideboard or kill your face with my really bad 2/1s. So then I sideboard in all the things. And I'm like, okay. Mulligan to a good 6-land hand or 6-card hand. Kill the first 3 creatures. Make my land drops. Go to play Tezzeret on 4. Negate. Okay, that's fair. Play my 5th land. Kill a couple more creatures. Pass a turn. Come back to my 6th turn. Boom. 5 mana Planeswalker. Boom. 2nd negate. Like, okay. I die quickly a couple turns later. I'm like, man, those negates just wrecked my face. He's like, yeah, I sideboarded in 4 of them. Then he picks up his sideboard. Goes, oh, I guess I didn't sideboard in 2 of them. He only sided in 2. But he kept his hand that was like semi-okay, but had 2 negates in it.
Okay.
Like, that was his keep. It was like, well, the creatures aren't very good, but I have my 2 negates. And how are you going to beat me if I have 2 negates? And I'm like, I play my 2/1 guy, like I sideboarded it in. I don't know. I was pretty upset, which is why I thought, well, screw it. I just may play all the removal spells in the bloody world. So I don't know. I'm not sure where I want to be right now. Like, my deck is fun and good. I ended up drawing this week's Standard Showdown, which is good because I think I would have lost to the like mono red aggro deck. I got to the point where I had enough lands in play, like literally any spell off the top would have won me the game. My opponent was drawing cards off of the top to try to find a haste creature to kill me when I didn't have any cards in my hand. And like literally any not land basically would have won me the game. And I just like land. And then he finally killed me. So I'm like, all right, sweet. And I pick up the top 5 cards and I show them. It was all Fatal Pushes, Cut to Ribbons, Planeswalkers. So yeah, it was good that I drew, but man, I got to get out of decks that require the right ratio of lands to action. I just have to. I have to figure out the deck that doesn't care what you draw. Give me that deck, Travis.
I don't have that deck.
I need you to figure it out.
Oh, okay.
I just need it to be good enough all the time that it wins regardless.
Well, you know how I like to live in magical Christmas land?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you're going to have to move.
No, it's not going to happen. So let's talk about the title of this week's show, Emergency, and the subtitle, Racing the Clock. Apparently some nasty weather's coming in for you.
Yeah. We're supposed to get 8 to 12 inches tonight.
Of
snow.
Of snow?
Yep. And then it's also supposed to snow on Monday.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any place I want to be.
Also, it's about 40-mile-an-hour winds right now.
That doesn't bother me. I've come from Kansas.
Yeah, but when it's like snowing that hard, it's really, really bad. Like, we couldn't see the street from work.
Yeah, that usually doesn't bother me either. Like when it's really snowy and it's blowing real bad and it's like basically whiteout conditions, it doesn't bother me once it's already snowing.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what I was watching. I was watching something with the wife the other day, and they're like, "Oh, it's like 60 miles an hour wind. No one can leave their houses or something. Like people can't go outside because it's 60-mile-an-hour wind." And I'm just like, I remember getting an ass whooping because I was running around on the roof of building. Like we used to have like this barn, and my dad caught me running around up there in 60-mile-an-hour wind. Yeah. And I'm just like, who cares? It's Kansas. You just lean into it and it's fine. Like, right. Whatever. But I guess for places that are not Kansas, 60-mile-an-hour wind's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and see, like, I always make fun of people here because it's like, well, I mean, it's not that strong of wind. And they're like, it's 40 miles an hour. I'm like, yeah. The only real issue is that it's cold and it's a lot of snow. And we're just supposed to get like a 8 to 12 inches over the course of like about 10 hours tonight.
Yeah, it does sound like a lot of snow, but
yeah,
I know you stocked up, got plenty of your supplies.
Oh yeah, I went to the store this morning, or like when I got off of work. I got not this morning, like an hour ago, and I got stocked up pretty good. I bought a gallon of milk and I think we're good to go.
Gallon of milk, half a box of cereal, a gallon size thing of lube.
Yeah.
No reason I'll ever leave the house again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Titan in the chat says we have like 100+ mile-an-hour winds in the mountains. That's almost scary. I would consider that's reasonable amount of scary wind.
Yeah,
but
it's a good amount of wind.
I mean, so I tend to tell this story about when I was in flight school. One of my teachers, there was like a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind. So when you're at an airport, right, and you're going to land, if the wind's coming from the front, that's fine. If it's coming from the back, like it's pushing you, it's less good, but it's still fine. But when the wind's coming in from the side, it wants to basically flip your airplane over, right?
Right.
You're trying to land. So those are called crosswinds. And there was about a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind, which is a reasonable amount of crosswind. But if you train in Kansas, that's what we have to deal with all the time, right? Like it's no big deal. So this instructor goes down, lands, walks into this airport, and it's completely packed. There's like 45, 50 people sitting in there waiting to leave, right? The people are trying to get out of this airport. And he like walks in, everyone's like, "What? How did you get here?" It's like, I flew or whatever. And they're like, but how? Like because you have a minimum, right? So in aviation, you can't do something you've never done before.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Which is always real weird to me because it's like, well, if you've never done it before, how do you do it?
Yeah, how do you improve?
Right. But it's called a minimum. So they were all trapped because they couldn't take off or land in this crosswind. My instructor stopped ate a Danish, refilled his plane, and took off. And they were all still trapped there, couldn't leave, because none of them had the experience to leave. So
that's awful. I think it's great.
Right? But that's just how people some people are, right? They don't understand the experience of other people sometimes, and they were just completely dumbfounded, and they just like stood out and watched him take off too, like they were expecting him to just blow over and tumble away or whatever, but he just like whoop and left, and there was all like 50 of them standing there watching him take off.
No, you guys, I'm gonna leave now.
Like, toots, I got my donut, my plane's full. Woo! So yeah, so we're probably gonna have a little bit of a short show. We wanted to, I last week or whatever was Valentine's Day, so that's usually when we record. So I hung out with the wife that night, and we didn't get an opportunity to record. So we wanted to kind of cram something in for you guys, so there was a fresh show. Even though we talked about a bunch of stuff, there really wasn't a lot going on for us. Really, I don't think. Did you have anything special this week that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, all I did was, I did do a 5-color draft on Monday.
5-color, like that was the goal, or?
It wasn't the goal in the beginning, but it just kind of transformed into that, and I took third with it.
Okay.
So it started off, I got my opening pack was Dead Man's Chest as my rare.
I like that card.
I was like, yeah, all right, I'll take this. And then someone passed me. The person to my right passed me Nezahal, the blue legendary elder dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll do this too. I was like, guess I'll have a blue-black control list. And then it just kind of like, it just went sideways, and I didn't know what to do with it. And eventually I was just like, I guess started off blue-black, and then pack 2, none of the blue-black was coming to me. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll try and get something else going, get some green in there. And so I was like green, and then like pack 3, it was Ixalan. And I ended up with 2 Thunder Herd Migrations, the Nezahal, Dead Man's Chest, bunch of spot removal, and then pack 3, I was like, I can't not take the Sky Terror. I have to play that. And that cemented me in red and white also.
Okay.
And then I got 2 Commune with Dinosaurs and Trove of Temptation. And then I got like a bunch of just, here's a 2/5, that Merfolk. And then, here's the 2/5 flying dinosaur that when you have another dinosaur, it has vigilance. And then at the very, like, I think it was pick 5 out of pack 3, I got past the Brontodon, the 4/6 that says everything attacks with its butt.
Right.
Yeah, I ended up grabbing that, and I'm like, oh, now I gotta do it. I have to go 5 colors now. And overall it was weirdly an effective deck.
Yeah, my draft also was weird. As a quick question, as we kind of wrap up here, I'm getting text messages to be other places. So this week I opened that poly dinosaur that makes copies of itself when it takes damage.
Oh yeah.
I got past a Blood Moon. Pick
Blood
2,
Sun?
Blood Sun. And then I got past the 3-mana White Wrath. Right?
Okay.
And then the rest of pack 1 was kind of like so-so-y type things, right? What color combination do you put your opponent on, do you think? with those first 3 picks for sure. You basically end up eating up like green, red, dinosaur type action.
Yeah.
So where do you put your opponent?
Uh,
Blue also is pretty open coming around the table. So,
okay.
like,
So
some combination of black and some other color, right?
right, like just with that limited knowledge, I'd go with my opponent's either being the vampire, like one of the vampire list, or mono green merfolk.
Right. So it turns out my opponent was heavy white / black for vampires.
Okay.
And it was full in on white from his opening rare on. So I'm like, why didn't you take the Wrath? Like, why would you pass this Wrath? It's like, why do I care? Like, I don't care. All my creatures have power less than 4. Like, it doesn't do anything. I'm like, you realize it's still basically Wrath the board, right? Like, a total power of 4. He's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody cast it against him, and he lost his shit on Saturday when he realized how he's like, what does this card do? We're like, yeah, you sacrifice basically all your creatures but 1 right now because you can't get to 4 power. You know, he was like, you sacrifice all your creatures, and he's like, but his kings are all like 0/4s. Well, then he keeps all of his creatures, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, but basically that made it where I was like, he's 100% not white. Right? So pack 2, like I had one of the flash vampires that I went ahead and kept, even though I didn't want it, just to cut him. I cut like 3 removal spells just so he didn't have it. And he says something underneath his breath that I don't even know if he realized he said. Something about, man, the packs got real shitty or something. And I look over at him and go, dude, you realize I'm cutting the crap out of you, right? He's like, what? I'm like, I know that what you're in, or I think I know what you're in, and I'm cutting you really hard. He's like, no, you don't have any idea what I'm in. So we finish up the packs. He turns around, continues passing to me. Like I get another rare dinosaur. I think I end up with like 7 playable rares in my deck, or 4 playable rares in my deck, right? If I just choose, I could splash the Wrath also. I choose not to. But he also ends up passing me the Rageosaur Alpha.
Yeah.
Was like
that's a bad idea.
Was like his open and passed it to me. And then something else. I don't remember what. So I ended up winning the draft, I think. No, Remington won the draft. Remington won the draft. I took 2nd. And it was like, he's like, so what colors do you think I'm in? Well, I said, I figured you're probably in black first because you passed me a Wrath in white, and then you passed me like good blue spells.
Mm-hmm.
So you're black something, but you were passing like the 4 mana or the 3 mana do 4 damage red spell, and you didn't take any green spells, so you're like basically mono black. It's like, no, I'm white splashing black. And I was just like, what? And I'm like, well, I cut these removal spells from you and vampires from you. He's like, oh, that's fine. I don't even care. I wasn't even taking those removal spells. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I know what the heck was going on. It was confusing, but whatever. I don't know. We have a quick deck here we'll go over, and we'll wrap up the show unless you got a comment.
Yeah, I know, like, so we have a few players here that they watch pros draft and they watch all the like the limited events that are like streamed for GPs and
Right.
pro tours and everything. And so they more or less know how drafts are supposed to work. Like,
Right.
sorry. Okay, I'm supposed to think like this. And I'm supposed to read the cards and, just like read the colors and go off of that. And for the most part, every time that I'm not there, they're successful. But then every time I sit down at the table, they're like, oh, damn it. Well, guess I'm going to lose this draft because I sit down and I just take whatever I feel like.
Right. It's hard to deal
And
with the chaos if you're
yeah,
not used to it.
right. Well, and like this, when I did the draft this past Monday, I took every single dual land and fixing that I could. I think I ended up with 2 of the blue green tap lands, uh, the Fowler Orchard, the black green one,
Mm-hmm.
the Stone Quarry, and the Highland Lake. I ended up with 5 tap lands.
I said like I have any idea what the names are, but yes,
Yeah, okay, so 2 of the blue green ones,
right.
1 of the black green one, 1 of the blue red one, and 1 of the red white one.
Right, just keep taking them all.
Yeah, I did, and I was just like, I didn't want to go against them, and I don't know. I've kind of come to the conclusion that mana fixing is the most important thing in draft. Like, yeah, you can get your bombs, but how are you going to get to it?
I think it matters. It depends on what you end up wanting to do. Like if you're a person,
everything.
if you're a person who wants to be like to a low to the ground fast deck, so I've been going pretty far out of my way these last couple weeks to not draft pirates, right? Because like I'm like, all right, I'll just take all the pirates. Doesn't matter if they're good, if they're bad, whatever. I'll just take them, and I was winning every week, and that's not good for the shop. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to try some other mechanics, which is usually what I do about a month and a half after a set comes out. And I've been having these good reasons to move into dinosaurs, and they're just terrible. They're just not good.
Dinosaurs?
So, yeah.
What? No, dinosaurs are great.
The best I've managed to do is like a 2-1 with dinosaurs so far.
You're just playing them wrong, man.
I guess. I don't know.
Like I went 5 colors with. Well, I guess I didn't really have a tribe as much as. Does Big Butts count as a tribe?
Yeah, I'd call that.
Okay, good, because that's what I did this past draft, and I went.
Booty girls, right? Booty girls.
Yeah. And God, what was it? That one black spell that you return a pirate from your graveyard to your hand, and then do the same for Merfolk, Vampire, Dinosaur.
That card can give you real good.
And I did that against one of my opponents, and I literally grabbed 4 creatures from my graveyard, put them in my hand, and he goes, "Oh, well, that's a thing that just happened." And then the next turn, because of the Trove of Temptation and all the ramping that I did earlier, I played down all 4 of them. And he's like,
"Yeah,
let's go to the next game."
I'm a big fan of regrowing your cards out of the graveyard, especially if there's at least 2.
Yeah.
Right, like the first one's okay that you're just exchanging one card for another, but if you're getting 2, then it's better. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and save this deck list for next time. And actually, I gotta bounce here pretty quick. But I just want to ask you one more question, kind of as our lead off here. So I just want to remind everyone you can check out the show at samusgrobo.com. You can send us an email, the number 2 trollsbrew@gmail.com. Check out the Twitch page, twitch.tv/samusgrobo, or of course the YouTube channel, youtube.com/samusgrobo. You can check out this show here live, or watch the video whenever you want to. Not have to wait for the podcast to come out in audio form, which is becoming more and more of a challenge in me, making time to get it not just recorded but also edited. Or you can follow us at Twitter. I am, of course, Samus Grovo, and he is TurtlePower319. So to wrap us up this week, Travis, the bans, the unbannings, Jace versus Bloodbraid Elf. We didn't talk about it last week. The world seems to be falling apart for some people. Others, it doesn't matter. I glanced over at the GP top 8 decks. I don't think I saw any of those cards in those top 8 decks.
Oh, that's good because they're not legal until Monday.
Oh, okay. Swoo. They were like all Eldrazi lists is what it seemed like.
Yeah, there's
Tron lists.
5 mono green Eldrazi deck or 5 mono green Tron list.
No, that's fine.
In the top 8.
That's fine. Sounds good to me. Like you want that what is it? Unseen? No. Like look at the top 4 cards, put a colorless one in your hand. What is that one called? Do you remember? Or was it 5 cards?
There's an Ancient Stirrings.
That's what it's called. Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, you get a thing or a land.
Well, it's like a colorless card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, lands are
colorless. I think so. I don't know. I don't play it.
But yeah, like you want that in a Tron list, in my opinion.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't know why they're not always green. They should all be green. So what do you think about the banning then? The sky doesn't fall until Monday. Yeah, the unbanning.
Honestly, it really doesn't bother me because I was brewing with this deck, and I have 2 modern decks right now. The one, I really love it because it uses Heartless Summoning and Mirror Retrievers to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And, do you know what either of those things are?
Yeah, we talked about it last show.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the one deck. And then I just got really bored just going through my cards. I'm like, I'm not using that. Why am I not using that? So I just built a deck. And I have essentially it's Rakdos, but I'm splashing blue for a Keranos.
Okay.
And in testing with one of the dudes that, he has his 3 play sets of Jace for some damn reason because he's an investor. We were play testing, and if they can't stop me from landing a Keranos, Jace is irrelevant.
Seems odd because doesn't Jace have a bounce?
Yeah.
So couldn't he force you to put it back in your hand and then you could counter it that time?
He could, but then they would have to play it and then leave open mana in order for me not to cast it the next time. And considering, with the exception of Keranos and Young Pyromancer, the majority of my spells are discard. So it's a very attrition-y game. And they most of the matches, unless I kept a really bad hand, I was just able to out-control the control list. And then he doesn't have Bloodbraid Elf, so I don't know how that's going to affect me, but I mean, 2-for-1s are always good.
Generally. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little irritated. I almost bought one of the Jaces out of the case because we just happen to have one. And I literally, the day before the bannings, and I literally talked myself out, or the unbannings, excuse me. I literally talked myself out of it going well, what would I ever play it in? I don't play Legacy. I don't play Commander. It's not legal anyplace else. So it would just be to have one. I guess I'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then less than 12 hours of walking out of the shop not buying one, it doubled and continued to spiral up a little bit. I don't know where it's going to land, but somebody had better do something with it pretty quick or prices are going to speculate out of control.
Well, they're going to drop anyways because he's going to be in Masters 25.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. It might have a small dip, but if it's good and he gets played, it might not fall that far.
Yeah. Either way, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. Anyway,
But
anything else, bro?
no, because like I mean, even Tron, that's the worst matchup for me. And that so Tron players don't play Jace. Tron players don't play Bloodbraid.
Man, how good would
No,
it be? How good would it be to play Blood Braid? Like, and then you just have like what, one card that you actually Tron? Unfortunately, all the Tron cards that you get would be maps and stuff, right?
yeah, then you get map or one of the chromatic star slash spheres or unlicensed disintegrate. No, engineered explosives, and they just kind of like great.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I building around Cascade would be really tough, especially at 3.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because so much of Modern is 1 drops and 2 drops that you want to play, especially in a land with Bloodbraid Elves.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Like in the old days of original Ravnica when Blood was printed, like, right, Ravnica? I feel like Ravnica.
Conflux.
Conflux, which was Ravnica, right?
No. Conflux was Shards of Alara.
Shards of Alara. But Ravnica was legal? Because I remember people bloodbraiding Elfing into that one, the Mauler, that if you had already attacked or bloodied them, they got an extra 2 counters.
Yeah.
Like, that was the big combo.
Right.
So I don't understand how that would even be good now. So I'm not even sure how Bloodbraid is good at all, except for like you get a free lightning bolt.
You get a free lightning bolt. You can get a Goyf, scavenging ooze.
Goyf could be okay. Ooze could be.
Lingering souls.
That's probably the best one so far I've heard.
Lily.
Yeah, I suppose if you bloodbladed into a Lily, that would be okay.
Ancestral recall.
See, that like people have been trying to figure out how to make that work, but it's not even working.
Yeah, you played Bloodbraid in turn 4 and hope to get that 0 drop and then draw 3.
Right, but I mean they were already playing that in some of the other Cascade lists, and they couldn't get it to like reliably land on it, right?
Yeah. You could get a Maelstrom Pulse. Colligan's Command.
Now, see, that one seems like the other best one.
Yeah.
To me, right? Like Goyf, Kolaghan's Command, and
Lily.
Because
Kolaghan's Lingering Souls.
And Lingering Souls. Because Lily obviously is still good, right? Any of the Planeswalkers are still good. But and Lingering Souls making 2
any
dudes.
of the Planeswalkers.
Any of the 3-mana Planeswalkers are good.
No. Well, maybe. Would that be a list for Domri?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, whatever.
Why would it be?
Red and green.
Yeah. Well, wait. I mean, you probably have a creature-based deck, right?
Allegedly, yeah.
I mean, the biggest problem would be like his minus doesn't do enough because might not have creatures on the other side of the field, but he still lets you scry to help set up your Cascade as well as draw more Bloodbraid Elves.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's look at it, and then if you want to reveal it, if you want to draw the creature.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to draw the creature, you just leave it on top.
What if you go get the Healy?
See, like that seems sexy. So now all of a sudden we're Bloodbraid Elf into Saheeli, and the cat doesn't cost 4, but it can be Eldritch Evolutioned. Yeah, okay, maybe there's a reason to get excited now.
Dude, I think you should do it.
I don't know. They're right there, Bloodbraid Elves.
How many?
Oh, I don't know. They were uncommon, right?
Yeah.
Probably a bunch. Oh, no, I was going through cards for Pauper, and I found like a big old pile last week. Made my nose all run. So they're right over there somewhere. And then there's a whole nother box marked Ravnica somewhere. I think this box is all Ravnica. I don't know, man. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna say
All right.
troll on.
Yeah, troll on.
Toots.
Goodbye.